A freak of nature who was born outrageously strong, said by the strongest man in the world himself. Imagine only being 15 years old, but being able to defeat an army of 50 men by yourself in 30 minutes. Oh boy. Some people call him the anime version of Kingpin, especially when you look at the white suit he's always wearing. Let's talk about it. Hanayama. He's an insanely strong human type character in the Baki universe where there's a lot of superhuman fighters. In this universe, you can train your way up to doing superhuman stuff. I mean, he's so absurdly strong that you honestly wouldn't believe how strong simply his forearms are, like his grip strength. He's just casually bending and twisting coins for the fun of it, like thick cards. He can tear through this many with his grip. Masks that are meant for protection, he can crumble up in the palm of his hands. That's what you would call vice grip. The pressure that his hands exert can't be measured by normal means of measurement. There's even statements that say that gods themselves must have created those hands. Do me a favor and you try to do this to an actual human. I'm pretty sure you won't be able to do this to a human arm. This is just absurdly insane muscle. Like, he's out here fixing bottles that are shattered. Well, not completely shattered. Well, just kind of cracked. He can just kind of fix them by applying pressure to it. But as a result, it's smaller. In this particular situation, when he did this, they compared his power to something being deep 10,000 meters under the water via water pressure. Like, you know, these characters in this universe get strong with age, and he was only 13 in this particular situation. He was able to burst his father's arm just with the vice grip. Like, what in the world? Anything he can do back then, he can do better now. You see this curled up box of cigarettes? He's the one that did this. It feels like stone because of him. They can't uncrush it. People with fingernails can't even get it to uncrush. So if he grabs onto you, yeah, you're pretty much screwed. Like, it's no wonder when he grabs onto car doors, he engraves his hand in it like freaking claws, y'all. That's how crazy his grip is. Like, you know how Wolverine can climb walls, get a grip to the wall by stabbing into the wall, giving himself handholds, basically? That's kind of what Hanayama's doing, but he doesn't have claws. His grip alone is basically giving him grasp of a car just because of the vice grip. Grabbing it like what? It was so bad. He ended up pulling the car door off, so he never lost grip. When top tiers like Yujiro and Jack are talking about him, Yujiro himself compliments on how Hanayama's grip is insanely mighty. They even talk about if he were to clinch with all his might, there would be adequate force for him to completely crush his own fist. See, this kind of stuff makes you wonder how strong his other body parts are if he can do this to all these things. Like, if his forearms are this strong, bigger muscles like his chest, biceps, triceps, how strong are these things if he can literally crush a freaking gun with his vice grip? I mean, when it comes to his muscle and his strength, his grip strength in general, it's pretty much confirmed that he has enough blunt power to crush a freaking skull. This is definitely not the last time I'm bringing up his grip strength stuff in this same video, but I want to show you his other muscles match up just in general. Like, guys, some of this stuff looks straight up Looney Toony. He's out here literally folding men with one arm. Like, what the heck? Like, you see these conventional weights? If you're a weightlifter, this looks like at least 225. Probably higher with the extra weights on the side, but yeah, at least 225. He's holding it like a stick. Like, they mentioned, say, yo, this is not a stick. You need to hold it from the middle. He doesn't give a crap what you guys said. This is so much harder to do than you think, guys. He's holding all of this with laughable ease. Baki, you know, he actually fought Baki during his younger days. Yep, when he was boxing with Baki, fighting Baki, Baki said this guy is stronger than a literal ape. Like, I want you to understand this ape is probably stronger than apes that we have in real life. Like a Baki universe ape. The Yasha ape that can do this to like literal weightlifting equipment. I'm pretty sure Hanayama, especially in current manga, this was back in the day. Back in the day, Hanayama can lift or flip cars. He can definitely lift cars currently. I mean, back then he can freaking rip tires, yo, with his bare hands. He's the kind of guy that will literally lift up the floor. Back in the day, other people estimated that he's 5 times the strength of Baki. Keep in mind, even though Baki was younger and weaker than he is currently, even back then, Baki was considered to have the strength of 100 people. So what does this say about Hanayama? 100 people multiplied by 5? 500 people? This is the kind of stuff Baki did back in the day. So Hanayama's crazy. So we barely getting started and we know he can lift a couple tons easily, like a literal car. There's implications that Hanayama's muscle can lift way more than just 2 tons, but I'm talking about hundreds of tons. He literally matched muscles with somebody that fought dinosaurs. There's this prehistoric human known as Pickle who's absurdly strong and is used to fighting actual dinosaurs. They literally clash Power. You could say a muscle tug of war, clash of strength tug of war type thing. Everybody was spectating and everybody was shocked. Of course, this wasn't Pickle in his mightiest form, but still, even in his base state, this is still impressive. He literally stopped Pickle in his tracks, matching his muscles really freaking good. They even go as far as saying it's 50-50 even. They had a couple clashes of strength, even grips these two clashed. Notice how shocked Pickle was at Hanayama's strength. Do me a favor and Google the weight of an Argentinosaurus. This is what Pickle has to overpower. Things that weigh over hundreds of tons. He can stop foot stomps from these things that weigh this much. Despite Pickle being able to do this to this Argentinosaurus dinosaur, he had trouble pushing Hanayama back, and he was even shocked at Hanayama's strength. It's moments like this that kind of imply he can lift over 100 tons similar to Pickle, meaning he can lift and toss around tanks, buses, blah, blah, blah with his muscle. Matter of fact, when he was tackling Pickle, Pickle was imagining a Triceratops dinosaur. So you can't really say this is an assumption. Pickle himself was even thinking it. Fighting, matching strength with Hanayama is reminding him of back in the day fighting a Triceratops. He even goes as far as saying he's nowhere near the size, but he has equal power to these huge creatures and stuff. Even goes as far as saying he's a little stronger, and that's strange to Pickle. Hey, it's kind of crazy he's being compared to something that weighs 10 to 20 tons, a Triceratops. Like, that's how strong Hanayama is, even in Pickle standard. If you have your doubts about all that dinosaur stuff just because Pickle said it, well, let's just say Hanayama has fought his own version of a kind of dinosaur type creature, like a super huge shark. You could say this is a mixture of a few things: his skills, his wrestling skills, his vice grip, grabbing weak points of the shark. You can literally Google it yourself. Megalodon sharks can weigh 50, 60, 70, 80 plus tons and such, and he's literally wrestling these creatures. Further adding on to the fact about that dinosaur stuff, it kind of makes sense when you look at all this information put together. So let's just say Pickle was not exaggerating his might. You know, when a character has this kind of super strength, you know he can punch hard. Just from seeing all this stuff he can lift, I would say his punch has to be similar or more, you could argue, because usually people punch harder than what they can lift. Lowballing him, he should be able to punch with over 100 tons of force. They explained in detail why Hanayama can punch hard. It's weight times speed times grip equals destructive force. And they go as far as saying, okay, speed and weight makes sense, but what the heck does grip have to do with destruction? It talks about how grip strength provides a certain contribution, and that is solidity. And that when he solidifies his fist, his grip strength is so great, it is even said to be able to crush the very fist it makes. That's solidity. And they explain that's why Hanayama can punch so hard, on top of all the strength I already talked about in this video. That's not really an assumption. We literally see his punches make men roll. The weight of his hits make people fly to where they literally hit the ceiling. He hits so hard, if you didn't know better, you would think these people had wings, based on how far they go when he punches people. Imagine being a martial arts fighter trying to absorb a character's punch with your legs. Your legs should be able to handle it, right? Kicking off of it, right? To absorb the impact, right? Well, even though he blocked it with his foot, that doesn't really matter. He just broke your legs. The scary part is he's stronger than what he looks based on all the stuff I already showed you, but even characters that are bigger than him, the weight of his hits can still launch them. I've already proven in the same video, he can lift 100 tons. If somebody can lift 100 tons and you don't believe he can punch through concrete walls, that's kind of crazy to me. But yeah, Hanayama is boxing it out with opponents that can do this kind of stuff with their bare hands. People thought Godzilla was in town. That can't be humanly possible, they say. Hanayama is getting punched by this same ridiculously strong being in fist fights with beings that can do that to train carts. That's power. We've actually seen him punch through walls, crater in walls with his fists. The weight of his hits crumble the hood of a car, smashes the engine with the weight of his hits. Just simply being near machines, he can damage them. If you're getting punched by him, he will engrave you in the machines. Imagine picking a fight with concrete or brick walls and winning based on the force of your strikes. Do we even need to get on his punches and his kicks and what they can do? Not only send people flying this far, but literally bounce off the fence. The weight of his hits can hit through the metal bars of a jail cell, things that are meant to literally hold people in jail. All right, we're getting crazy now. Like these super thick doors, thanks to speed plus weight and his strength and everything, multiplied by grip, they say, he punches this kind of stuff down. So guys, you get the idea. Like he can constantly hit through concrete metal doors, prison he can bust out of. You might as well call him Unchained as well, because a normal old prison ain't gonna hold him. I mean, just every opponent he hits, look what it does to the back wall. Even having his fist smoky or some crap. Occasions like this really make it very easily to believe he can punch with over 100 tons of force. It's one thing breaking through thick reinforced walls, but when the wall blasts open like a bazooka hit it and stuff, that makes you believe, yeah, he could punch down buildings. First of all, he can damage beings that are way more durable than average humans anyway. Like for example, there's this being known as Spec, right? He can damage really badly with his hits, somebody that is in awe of his power, I want you guys to realize that Spec is ridiculously durable to the point where these super large iron balls and firearms that were hitting Spec in the face wasn't even doing that much damage. But when Hanayama punches him, he does way more damage. Oh man, when it comes to Spec, like, he just abusing Spec, honestly. Like, I think we all can agree anything Spec can do, Hanayama can do when it comes to how hard he can hit. I mean, he's just literally ripping Spec apart. Look what he's doing to Spec's flesh. Like, this is just mean. I want you guys to remember, like, yeah, the Statue of Liberty exists in this universe. Look how big it is compared to normal humans and stuff, right? Okay, I just want you guys to remember that the weight of Spec's hits and etc. could do major damage to the Statue of Liberty, something that's a building-sized structure, nearly making something as big as the Statue of Liberty fall over. They had to call the authorities as an alert. This is basically why Hanayama boxing it out with Spec is impressive. Something that weighs over 100 tons, he's about to push over with the weight of his punches. That's why I say these characters, Hanayama included, especially since this is an older feat for an older, weaker character in the series. Collapsing buildings for Hanayama shouldn't be no problem, honestly. This guy that did all that to the Statue of Liberty with his punch technique punches Hanayama. Spec did this, and Hanayama just endured all of this head on and literally punches through his barrage of punches, overwhelming him. So yeah, anything Spec can do, Hanayama can do better. Oh yeah, he can take what he can dish out, being punched by this super strong being like Pickle. Remember Pickle, the guy I brought up earlier to prove why Hanayama would have to be able to lift over 100 tons? Remember that guy? Well, I'm bringing him up again. Okay, so Pickle had a clash of fists. Well, his fist clashed with the strongest man in the world, Yujiro, both in their base forms, by the way. When their fists clashed, and it was clashing muscles or just punching power, whatever you want to call it, there was a point where Yujiro wasn't sure if he was going to be able to overpower him and had to use his skills to get the advantage over Pickle here. See, Yujiro is considered a higher end character, and he's one of those characters where his punches are so mighty to where he can actually stop actual earthquakes with the weight of his punching power. Even people that were there was like, what? He stopped it with a freaking punch. Now you see why Pickle overpowering him like this? This was during his weaker days, so Yujiro, that clash with Pickle, is way stronger, obviously. But now you see why doing this is incredible. Beings like this can make their own localized earthquakes. Earthquakes is like a common theme in Baki. This is not an outlier feat, by the way. Because later on, a stronger Baki actually can match Yujiro's might in a slugfest or just in a contest of strength in general. Like, we've seen these two's blows literally clash in raw power, like Baki and Yujiro. This kind of adds up with the fact that Baki can literally make his own illusions. Yeah, don't ask. Baki can make his own illusions. He can make his own illusions that can make earthquakes, just like Yujiro can. Just to let you know that this earthquake stuff is actually considered normal, y'all. Because Baki battling with an illusion or whatever he made, which you could attribute this feat to Baki or Yujiro, whoever, or they made an earthquake around like several blocks. Like, people way over and from the epicenter could feel the collateral of an earthquake even that far away. So there's literally an earthquake feat for Yujiro stopping his earthquake. Baki has his own illusion feat of earthquake making that Yujiro did in his illusion that he made. They both made earthquakes. This guy made an earthquake and Pickle matched him. And Hanayama matched him. So there's implications Hanayama, the weight of his hits, could probably make earthquakes in a localized area as well, matching the titans of the universe, of the Baki universe. Like, if you consider him a top tier, he should be in this ballpark of power. I don't want to put no numbers on it, but yeah, he should technically by default being up there with the heavy hitters. Like Pickle, his punches should feel like localized earthquakes, similar to what Baki did in that little training illusion fight session. Like, I'm not really trying to compare him to Yujiro, the strongest titan in this world or nothing, but we do gotta put in consideration that Hanayama gotta be somewhere in these guys' league, even though obviously I would give Yujiro the advantage still, but he's gotta be somewhere in their league because Hanayama actually threw a crazy strong punch at Yujiro, the earthquake strongest creature guy, the guy that can make his own earthquakes. The punch landed on Yujiro. And I think this is a feat. Some people might not call it a feat, but I think this is a feat. Even though Yujiro didn't move or nothing, there was a sound that sounded like an explosion going off. It was loud. That's how hard the hit was. Yes, Yujiro smiled, but he did give him a nosebleed. This is rare when you see somebody actually give Yujiro a nosebleed. I think this should be put in consideration. So yeah, not necessarily all the way equal to Yujiro, but yeah, he can give him a nosebleed. This is what happens when normal humans punch Yujiro. They don't even, like, he doesn't even feel it, honestly. So while I'm not saying he's equal to Yujiro, he's somewhere in their ballpark, which means he should be able to make an earthquake around several blocks too. Similar to what Baki did. You see what I mean? Even if it's a little less in scope, you know, somewhere in that range. Right? There was a swordsman, like, look how Yujiro does him, right? He messed him up pretty badly, but like, when you see Hanayama face this same being, you can kind of make a little comparison. Yeah, both Yujiro and Hanayama has faced the same guy. You can kind of get an idea of how strong Hanayama would have to be when you see how dazed this guy is from his punch compared to the way Yujiro punched him. He was pretty dazed after the hit. So while I will agree Yujiro's stronger, you see how Yujiro messed this guy up, and you see how this guy, Hanayama, messes this guy up as well. So Baki even went as far as saying the next hit, it's over. Now, if we're talking about a match of grip strength, there seems to be a decent gap between these two. There's this superhumanly strong swordsman I've been talking about. He can cut through 8 bodies. He's cut guns, split vases, slashed through tombstones. There's nothing that he couldn't cut, so he thought. But the way Hanayama's body is set up, his bone is too durable. You would think a blade and a fist clashing. Like in a clash like this, you would think this blade would go deep into his arm, like back here. Right. Wait, wrong. It didn't get all that deep due to the solidness of his bone and muscle. I guess the density of his body makes sense when you realize that he's been shot by high-powered guns over and over again, and he can still stand after that. I guess this kind of explains why you can't just cut through him, even though you can cut through steel. Like, there's characters that are super strong when it comes to cutting stuff. They can't just cut through him. I mean, when it comes to his combat speed, he's competing with the top tiers in fighting speed without getting completely blitzed or overwhelmed in speed. So he has to be somewhere in their ballpark at least. I mean, for one, he can just sprint ridiculously fast to the point where, like cars that are going as fast as they can, he can still walk them down just from like straight up sprinting speed. Full throttle, and he's about to catch up to a full throttle car. I mean, the higher ends of the Baki universe can dodge lightning and stuff. I mean, remember Baki in the old days was literally in the middle of a kick, and Hanayama literally punched it mid-flight. It would be weird if he didn't at least have lightning type speed, combat speed. I mean, Hanayama during the sumo arc fought this sumo being. He's been called the Sumo World Striker. I've already talked about this already, but it's literally proven when it comes to Hanayama, when it comes to his punching power, it's his speed times weight. So for his punches to be this hard compared to the other Baki top tiers, I don't see why he wouldn't be a top tier based on his speed as well. How strong do you think he is? Did you guys learn anything new about this guy? Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I appreciate the donations, everybody. Respect them. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.